All right, welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. I am not a lawyer. I don't give legal legal advice. I can't even say it. Why would you follow me? God. I don't give legal advice. This isn't legal advice. And I just want to go over this video right here because I feel like one of the most powerful things you can do when you find yourself in the hand of tyrants is to shut the front door. Shut the front door. And if it somehow swings open again, shut it again. And shut it as many times as you possibly can. Does that mean that I don't think that you should speak up when it's necessary and vital? No, I'm not saying any of that. But, you know, unfortunately, we all have the right, not unfortunately, you'll know what I'm saying. We all have the right to shut the frick up. Few of us have the ability to shut the frick up. Now, before I play this is going to be a video that Patrick J. Darcy, who is a lawyer, at least in the state of California, and he's going to give his opinion on where he thinks this whole Chili DeCastro case is going. And I just want to say that I'm playing this because I don't think it's a bad thing to listen to different people who have different opinions from different perspectives. I think it's a good thing. Do I equate listening with, accept everything that they say carte blanche? No, I'm not saying that. But what does it hurt to maybe consider that, hey, this might be what's happening? Because people speculate that what might happen is Chili might get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in federal prison, which that would be pretty serious if that were a possibility. But I think we should look at this stuff and try to figure out, hey, how can we best navigate in this totalitarian country they call the land of the free, home of the brave, this constitutional representative republic, so-called. So this is Patrick J. Darcy. I'm going to read just a little bit of what he says under his video. Chili DeCastro's jail call needs to be taken down and recanted, he says, including the petitioning activity he claims his supporters should do. That is, mailing letters of support to Judge Zimmerman. Mailing letters of support. I think that could have been more clear. Mailing letters of support for Chili against Judge Zimmerman. First, Judge Zimmerman cannot simply release Chili. She no longer has jurisdiction, and there's nothing in the code that allows a convict to be released simply because supporters fled the court with these so-called petitions. I take a look at Nevada Revised Statutes NRS 200.571, which makes it a misdemeanor on a first offense to, quote, do any act which is intended to substantially harm the person with respect to his or her physical or mental health or safety. This becomes a Class C felony broadcasted over the internet. The question is this: did Chili break the law with this call? Now, keep in mind, there's a lot of people who want Chili harmed. They're saying really bad stuff. Oh, I hope he finds a girlfriend. I hope they have a good time in there. I hope he doesn't make it through it. The world would be a better place if he wasn't in it. And all sorts of crazy things. One thing I know for sure is Chili DeCastro and tens of thousands of people like him are sitting behind bars and haven't victimized anyone. That is a big deal and is quite unjust in this justice system we have to put somebody behind bars who hasn't victimized somebody. I think jail should be reserved for people who commit violent crimes, people who are actually a threat to other people. And if you leave them out, they're going to continue breaking into your home. They're going to continue raping your daughters. They're going to continue threatening and causing chaos in society. Not just people who have ideas that you might think is bad. Those people shouldn't go to jail. Or calling a cop out at a traffic stop. You know, the people who should really go to jail, if we're going to keep it with people who are actually harming and victimizing people, there's a lot of people who wear clown costumes and drive clown cars that should be in jail. And that's not just my opinion. That's the opinion of what is right and what is wrong. Who actually committed a crime here? Bork was in the process of committing a crime. Nobody wants to talk about that, though. All right, so here is Patrick Darcy. Now, the injustice system does not see it like that because Officer Bork is a bright, shining hero that's keeping America safe for democracy. Here's Patrick Darcy. We're going to go through some of this.
Let's talk about Chili's phone call. Let's just get right to it. I got the Nevada revised statutes. You know how I am. I think some of his call actually was a crime, but it'll be ultimately determined by a court. I think he could be indicted for what he did.
Now, here's my thing. If he, a bar attorney, thinks that what Chili did is a crime, then what does Zimmerman think? What does the Nevada judges think? What does the legal system, the illegal injustice system think? They probably think it's a crime too. And in this game, perception matters. Doesn't matter in their minds. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter that there was no victim. It doesn't matter that there was no real crime. It was just statutory. It was just regulatory. It doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is, oh, did they break the code? Did they break our code? Did they commit a felony? Because if they did, if he did, he's going down.
You see, telling somebody to send all this stuff to the court is not petitioning. Petitioning has a very well-defined meaning. Recalling a judge, voter referendums, those are petitioning. Judge Zimmerman is out of the case because it was appealed. She doesn't have jurisdiction. That's with the appellate court, district court. So when Chili tells you to send 100,000 petitions to Judge Zimmerman, he's sending it to the person that has the least amount of control over this case because she has no control over it. She already tried the case. She already made her decision. There's nothing that's going to be changed there. Wouldn't it make you wonder?
Now, I really kind of wonder how much control she actually does have. This is kind of new to me. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not into all this legal stuff and legal jargon. I really like common law as opposed to statutory law. But I see comments in here like calling Chili an idiot. Hey, I want to set the record straight. I am not calling anybody names here. There's information that I've gleaned from Patrick Darcy. So there's a value in this. And I am not in any way besmirching what he says or who he is as an individual. This isn't personal. I want to find out what the truth is. And I want to find out the best way to navigate through this totalitarian regime that we call America. That's all I want. I want people to start doing the right things and putting away the right people and exonerating the right people. That's what I want. So you guys can go ahead, use your First Amendment right to launch all the ad hominems you want to in my chat. That's fine. It doesn't bother me. Matter of fact, I prefer you just be who you are. Don't pretend to be something you're not. Be who you are. Type what you want to and let the world know what kind of heart you actually have, because from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Back to Darcy.
About how much he really understands about the court system when he's telling you to, in my book, this looks like targeting, okay? I'm told there was call flooding going down there, that people are mailing a lot of shit to the courthouse. Listen, you're talking about a judge here, okay? And if the judge has the reactions that are within the statute, Chili could wind up getting indicted. Because Chili used a phone system and then broadcasted it through the internet as defined under the NRS. And you know what that does? It takes it from a simple misdemeanor with a 6-month penalty to 1 to 5 years of prison time.
Okay, so this is the core of why I want to do this live stream. If it's truly on the table, even if it's a slight possibility this could be placed on the table, that's pretty serious. You're talking about a guy in prison who shouldn't be there in the first place, who doesn't want to do 180 days, let alone 90 days, let alone 9 days, and juxtaposing that with the possibility that he could be in there for 365 days times 5. And don't think that they won't do it. People have gone to jail for less. People have been arrested for less. We just went over Samantha and Nathan's case from yesterday, or the day before yesterday. The cop gave what he said was a lawful order. Don't you dare step on your side with your driveway on your property, or I'm going to arrest you for interference and obstructing. What does she do? She puts her foot on the concrete as she's walking away from, not toward, away from the traffic stop, and he fulfilled his word. Was it unjust? Yes. Did she still end up in prison? Yes. The reality is somebody who's innocent went behind bars. And in this case, somebody who's innocent of committing a real crime could stay behind bars for a long time. And yeah, there are PEDOs out there who've gotten way less than 1 year or let alone 5 years.
And for those people who want to send these petitions, which are not petitions, to the judge, and if she has a very bad reaction to it, they may just decide to tag the followers with aiding and abetting criminal liability.
That is a secondary, maybe that's the primary concern. If it is true that by writing a letter, and guys, I'm telling you, if a mother in America, in Nebraska, went to jail for stepping her foot on her driveway, on her property to go get her son and navigate him safely around the traffic stop, if she can go to jail, then really all bets are off. There is no justice in America. It is the land of the free. It is the home of the slave. And secondarily or primarily, however you want to look at it, if Chili can get his prison sentence, up to some federal charge and go to a federal prison for 1 to 5 years, and they can get people who wrote a letter on behalf of Chili for aiding and abetting, don't put it past the system. It's like they can't do that. We got the Constitution to protect. Constitution not protecting any gun owner in New York right now. Constitution is not protecting any gun owner really in America right now. Constitution is not going to protect you. We just went over that. If you missed my last live stream, that guy in, I can't remember what part of Tennessee it was, but he was in Tennessee. They just walked into his house. Two law enforcement agents just walk into his house without a warrant, saying they're looking for a guy that the homeowner swears that he doesn't even know. And what the heck are you doing here? And where's the warrant? Yeah, so if that can happen, don't think this, I can't stamp it. No, that's not going to happen. He didn't break any laws. You don't have to break a law to be viewed as a criminal in the injustice system in America.
And wind up giving them the same sentences. And then you could be in jail with him. There is nothing to be gained from this. And it is unlawful behavior in my book. It is outright criminal harassment. The federal cyber stalking statute, I got it here. This would fit it. If she feels intimidated, if she feels threatened, if she feels uneasy, unsafe, she could very well ask a grand jury to be impaneled and indict Chili on it, and then start tagging the people who did it. And believe me, you're not so anonymous on the internet. I've dragged many people out from behind their keyboards right into a courtroom. If you know how to do it, you know how to do it. I would suggest that you don't do this. Let's watch the video. It says to do an act, any act, which is intended, has to be intent, to substantially harm the person threatened, threats are one thing, or any other person with respect to his or her physical or mental health or safety. So now we get into a state.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Law Talk says in the chat room, Chili keeps on talking about her private life. His attorney told him to stop. He has ignored legal counsel. I mean, I know. I've told him to stop. He won't. He won't. Nothing I can do.
Of mind. What about the recipient of this? And a conjunction means add it. B, the person by words or conduct, that would be Chili, places the person receiving the threat in reasonable fear that the threat will be carried out. For the first offense, a misdemeanor. This is where things get a little bit dicey. A person who commits the crime of stalking, notice it's a criminal offense, with the use of an internet or network site, electronic mail, text messaging, or any other similar means of communication to publish, distribute information in a manner that substantially increases the risk of harm or violence to the person, is now liable under a category C felony.
Let's be honest. Can you not see the injustice system in Nevada making that fit? It's so broad. A person who commits the crime of stalking with the use of an internet or network site, he's broadcasting his voice onto the internet or a network site, electronic mail, text messaging, or any other similar means of communication to publish, display, or distribute information in a manner that is substantially increases the risk of harm or violence to the victim shall be punished for a Category C felony. I could totally see them saying, okay, I'm going to take Chili de Castro and plop him right in there. He fits the context of what this statute is talking about. Can you not put a 1 in the room if you can see them doing that, easily doing that? And they will justify it through the phone calls and through the downloads of his YouTube videos. Easily.
Except as otherwise provided, which means despite what else it may say, a criminal penalty provided for in this section may be imposed in addition to any penalty that may be imposed for any other criminal offense. So this is not in lieu of, this is on top of. We violated there. Here's the website. Is an internet, I mean, super vague. Category C felony is for which a court shall sentence a convicted person to imprisonment at least a year, not more than 5 years, unless a greater fine is authorized, blah, 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 blah.
I could see, you know what I could see him doing? I could see him doing, yeah, he violated that. Let's go ahead and give him 4 years and 364 days. See how nice we are? We could have put him in for an extra day.
Okay. So here's the federal cyber stalking statute. Anyone with...
Yeah, I agree. Cracker Blackson says, hard to believe they won't do it. Why wouldn't they? They hate him. He has voiced that he hates them. They've shown that they hate him by putting an innocent man in prison. Why wouldn't they just grind him to powder while they're at it?
Intent.
And he's giving them all the justification that they need in their minds to carry that out and initiate the process. I am actually surprised that they are letting him maintain his phone privileges, to be quite frank with you.
Willful, it's an intent. To harass, intimidate, or place under surveillance with the intent to...
Now, I want to read this. The feds can bring felony cyber stalking, 18 U.S.C. 2261 A, B, and 2, 5 years, $250,000 fine. Oh, that's another thing. They could economically devastate him while they're at it. Oh, by the way, you're not just going to jail for 5 years, but when you get out, you owe us $250,000. Those sending petitions could be guilty of criminal aiding and abetting, 5 years, $250,000. Man, if they did that, and let's say 10,000 of you already signed those petitions, which I highly advise against it, but you can do what you want to do. But if they do that, I would think that would be national news. And if it wasn't national news, I'm sure that the YouTube community or the, journalist, doesn't even have to be First Amendment auditing community, but I'm sure a lot of people would get on board and trying to popularize and get the word out about what's actually going on. Did you realize that 15,000 people actually signed what they thought was a petition that went to the Nevada judges in the name of Ann Zimmerman, and they considered that as a threat, and then they rounded all those people up and threw them in jail because they were aiding and abetting? Imagine 15,000 people, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm just saying, imagine them making an example of them like they made an example of the J6ers. We live in weird times, man. Think about some of those people that went to jail for the J6 thing. They weren't even on Washington, D.C. property, the Capitol property. They weren't even on Capitol property.
Injure, harass, or intimidate. Uses the mail. Oh, isn't that what he said? Any interactive computer service. That's defined by the Federal Wiretap Act to include just about anything that's electronic. Electronic communication servers, electronic communication of interstate commerce, certainly YouTube and everywhere else, engage in a course of conduct that causes, attempts to cause. Doesn't necessarily mean that it did. That's what I was telling you. They don't have to suffer from emotional distress or would reasonably expect it to cause substantial emotional distress, shall be punished under this section, which is up to 5 years and $250,000.
Wow.
I gave you guys all the cases on that. So let's now take a look at the rest of this.
This report is my verbal op-ed. Judge.
See, by calling it op-ed, he's trying to act like it's a protected opinion. but opinions aren't protected. If you look at the Milkovich decision.
Ann Zimmerman, this message is to you.
I noticed going through this video that you'll see a lot of parts where it just cuts off and he doesn't continue saying what he was going to say. There's a couple mistakes that he made, but for the most part, the editing is okay and you get the general message of it. But I would like to have heard him, finish with that statement right there.
Release me from this jail.
Okay, this shows a fundamental misunderstanding of civil procedure and constitutional law. When the case is finished, she loses jurisdiction to even hear anything. You can't just plead for her to do this because there's no authority for her to be able to do this, or any judge. This isn't a political prisoner thing. And I think
I honestly wasn't aware of that. I didn't know when the case was over, the judge loses her jurisdiction in that case. I wasn't aware of that. Were you guys aware of that? This first I've heard of it. It kind of makes sense, but I'd really have to think about it.
he's confused about that.
Please.
The please, he's trying to think that it somehow mitigates against the possible implied threats here. Let's take a look.
Patrick, if you're watching this, I would just counsel you to stay away from pejoratives and ad hominems and just keep it on the professional level. I mean, I know people like the rhetoric, but you can't assume what's going on in somebody's mind or why they said something a certain way. It could be wrong. So you're basically putting yourself out on a limb for nothing. That's my 2 cents.
Taken responsibility publicly and agreed with my family, friends, and colleagues that my behavior in court was inappropriate.
Inappropriate is an understatement. It's what we call a euphemism.
For this reason, I say to Judge Ann Zimmerman now, release
See, I disagree with Chili on that. I disagree with it. Truth is never inappropriate. I would say that it's probably not expedient. It's probably not prudent to have said that at that time. Well, maybe that would be along the lines of inappropriateness. The last thing you want to do when a grizzly is mad at you and is about to tear your skull off your head is to poke and prod him and anger him a little bit more, unless you think you can actually get a shot in there that'll help you run to safety. But, it wasn't advisable for sure what he did. He apologizes for it. And it's not even an apology because he's saying, hey, what I said wasn't true. He's just like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that for the sake of decorum, and because it's likely that he wouldn't even have the sentence that he has if he didn't trigger the judge. Because if it's true that there are at least a dozen cases that Judge Zimmerman has presided over with regard to 197.190, and none of them went to jail, then what would be the common denominator? Is it I don't know. I don't know what it would be. Because there could be something that I'm not thinking of here.
me from this jail.
Okay, that goes against the rule of law because if there was a way to release you, Chili, through the court system, well, you've already tried twice and you've lost both times. That was the rule of law. You're not asking for rule of law here.
Yeah, just for people who are just joining, I don't know why the exotic cars are up here. It seems, I don't know. It seems kind of immature to me. I don't know what the cars are, but this is on Patrick Darcy's website. Maybe he likes exotic cars or something. I don't know.
Well then, Judge Ann Zimmerman's principles are inconsistent and out of bounds.
Okay, this could be considered a legitimate criticism in an op-ed piece. Those that run for public office, it's the Sam Yorty decision here in California. You better be ready to take a lot of slings and arrows, but there are limits to those slings and arrows.
We have identified a dozen cases that went back to a bench trial. A bench trial means that Judge Zimmerman is the judge, jury, and executioner.
Okay, when you say she's an executioner, you're kind of now starting to lose credibility. She's not an executioner, okay? She's the judge. And you, as a constitutional law scholar, waived your right to a jury trial, and you waived it. And you had a right to a trial by jury, and you waived it.
Now, there are people that disagree with that statement. I'm not sure. Did Chili actually waive his right to a jury trial? It says Chile was facing 1 year max, waived constitutional right to a jury trial, and waived right to a speedy trial. He also failed to present any cases that justified his conduct. I know that to be a fact. I mean, and I'm, pretty disappointed in his initial counsel for having, left that out. Justify his conduct at the trial, whether by briefing or testimony. The CLS never cited to cases holding the statutes unconstitutional and still hasn't. So I don't know. Did Chile, is it true that he waived his right to a jury trial?
You made the tactical decision to have the entire thing heard by one fact finder.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you, William. There's none of us is greater than all of us. Thank you for bringing to my mind. There's so many facets to this that could be easily forgotten. But William Lee says, Brian, the DA wasn't even recommending any actual jail time. Chile completely butchered his case. I agree. I think we can all agree. Even people who are diehard Chile fans will agree that Chile botched this big time. He talked too much on the stand. He gave too much irrelevant detail. They didn't hone in and focus in on the things that they should have focused on. They should have kept their mouth shut when they didn't. There's so much. But yeah, that's a good point. The DA wasn't even pursuing jail time. The only reason, and in light of that, it makes me think that the only reason he got jail time is because the judge got her feelings hurt and did not want anyone getting the idea that they could ever do what Chile did in her courtroom. So off with you, off with your head. Yeah, good point. Thanks, William.
You did that.
And so far, we have 3 exact cases that are the same as my charges, the same NRS codes. In the past year, this judge has given these 3 defendants.
That's a good point right there. You cannot say same exact facts, same charges. You can't say that. You got to find out exactly what was going on. And if there's a nuance of difference, you can't say it's the same exact. You cannot. You got to be, man, you have got to be so careful. Even if you are careful and you are 100% right, they will put you away. So that means you have to be more than right. When something comes out of your mouth, it has got to be in accordance with absolutely verifiably that which is right. You can't just willy-nilly start saying stuff. You can't willy-nilly just start, casting dispersions on the coveted, prized, heroic bailiffs who protect our judges, the lives of our judges every single day. How dare you? You must be an enemy of the people. How could you not love a judge? How could you not love a bailiff? How could you not bow down and respect them and lick their boots? That's how they view this, guys. We are in a bizarro world. You have to understand that you're thinking here and they're thinking in the land of tyranny, in the land of darkness. I'm assuming that you're thinking in accordance with the moral code and that you have a moral compass, because that's not where the injustice system operates. They do not operate with a moral code and a moral compass. They go by statutes, regulations, policies, ordinances, not that which is true, that which is noble, that which is right, that which is admirable. They're not there. They're here. And so because you have a whole group of people that run this whole big monstrous Leviathan system operating down here and resonating down here and issuing evil decrees. And then you say this right here, they ain't on board with that. They view that as the enemy. Truth is what? It's treason in the empire of lies. That's where they're at. They reside in the empire of lies. You just want to be in the kingdom of light. That's not where they want to be. They want to bring you down. They want to shatter the kingdom of light. And please don't read into what I just said there. I'm just talking about if you are operating on the moral level playing field, if you are, that's where they're operating for sure. For sure. All lawyers know it. All prosecutors know it. All judges know it. If they were honest with themselves and could for a moment take themselves out of the cognitive dissonance that they've all their lives been immersed in, they will admit it too.
Impulse training classes, and then the misdemeanor would fall off their record.
Okay, same exact facts, huh, Chili?
And Zimmerman, release me from this jail at once, please.
Again, there's no rule of law that allows that.
Why would the judge show obvious bias and give me such an unfair and harsh sentence?
Now, I agree. I thought the sentence was harsh. It was more than I was expecting, and I warned.
BC says Brian will have his chance to tell his cellmates this nonsense. I can only imagine. Now, if I'm wrong about something, I want to know about it, BC17. What am I wrong about? I don't think anybody should ever harm or threaten to harm another person. I don't think another person has a higher claim over the life and property of another person. And I think for the most part, this concept of authority is completely fictitious. Completely. What man has the higher claim over your life and property than you? If that is, if you're not harming somebody, if you're not threatening to harm somebody, if you're living your life at peace, if you're not damaging property or stealing property, if you're not doing any of those evil things that we all are against, then who's got a higher claim over your life and property than you? Nobody. Nobody. You are the king of your life. You are not a subject. You're not a serf. You're not under the jurisdiction of anybody, not rightfully so. But in this kingdom of lies, that's how they want to operate. And anybody who doesn't want to operate like that because they just want to be left alone, hey, I just want to be left at peace. No, they won't do it. That's not how government works. They will constantly mess with you. They will come to your door. If you don't pay the surcharge and the fees and the fines and the taxation and the extortion fee, you're going down in their eyes because you are not paying your, like Bernie Sanders, you'll pay your fair share. My fair share. If a thief broke into your house at 3:00 this morning and got mad at you for, holding on to your goods and keeping him from stealing it, and he said, you got to pay your fair share, would you be like, oh, dang, you're right. Shoot, I need to pay my fair share. Here, thief, take my stuff that I worked for. You didn't. But people their minds get all jumbled up and scrambled up when we use these euphemisms, lies, emotionalism, fear mongering in order to dupe average people into accepting and demanding the chains of their own enslavement. They get caught up in it. They start believing it. And no different from the belief of a child who wakes up on Christmas morning, comes down the stairs and expects to see the work of Santa. It's no different. The only reason they're believing in Santa is because their parents sold them on a lie. So BC 17, if I'm going to have my chance to tell my cellmates this nonsense, and I may one day go to jail for what I believe and what I hold true and the moral compass to which I stick. But what's the nonsense you speak of? What is this nonsense? Because I'll tell you what nonsense truly is. Nonsense is a Bellevue, Nebraska Police Department officer arresting a woman, a mother, on her own concrete driveway on her own property, walking away from a traffic stop, and then getting thrown into jail, fingerprinted and thrown into jail. Nonsense is the Arvada Police Department eliminating the life of Johnny Hurley, who just got done saving the frickin' Arvada Police Department. Nonsense is Chase Allen driving down the road without magic metal plates on the back of his car and being eliminated by the Farmington Police Department. That's nonsense. Nonsense is Philando Castile reaching into his pocket and getting summarily executed on roadside by a Minnesota police officer, Mr. Yanez. That's nonsense. That's true nonsense. Now, if you can give me an objective argument identifying the nonsense I'm personally spewing, I'm all open to an honest dialogue. But I just don't think it's honest to just broad brush say that what somebody's saying is nonsense. If you disagree with me on something, bring up the points. I want you to be just as free as I want to be, BC.
Everybody months ago that he could be convicted and then probably convicted on both counts, and they would string him together. I didn't think 6 months. I did not expect that. Maybe the judge got a little irritated with him when he was giving her the thumbs up about how he hates all cops.
What can you do about it? First, because Zimmerman is not her maiden name.
This is really out of bounds now. This to me gets into the line of doxing You don't need to go into her personal life at all. In fact, I think you really crossed the line here.
I agree with Darcy. It's just like, drop it. Stop talking about this woman. Quit it. Don't tell people to write letters. Stop it. That's what I told him. That's what I told him to his ear on his phone. Stop doing it. Drop it. Bide your time. You're where you're at right now. Don't make it any worse. Throw away your shovel. Stop digging.
Zimmerman is the name of the Las Vegas Metro Police lieutenant she married over 2 decades ago. Even after he divorced her, she kept the last name, meaning Judge Zimmerman loves cops, and I do not.
Well, whose fault is that one? You never disqualified this judge. You allowed this judge to hear all of your pretrial motions.
BC, accusation without substantiation is the height of ignorance. I am not the only one back end putting stuff up on Chili's channel. I have stopped, and it's been a long time since I put any jailhouse recording up there. I'm not going to do it. I told him I'm not going to do it. I don't feel comfortable doing it. It goes against my conscience to do it. You're saying things I don't think need to be said. I think it's going to get you into further trouble. I think it damages our cause. So to make that accusation, when somebody says something like that I know, and they know that they have no idea what they're talking about, then I automatically know for a fact that I'm dealing with somebody who does not have a heart for truth, and they don't care about facts, and they will just say and do anything. Thank you for revealing your character, BC. Thank you.
You allowed this judge to be the judge of your case. Now you're complaining that she's biased?
Second, what can you do about it? You can petition her and petition the court to release me now. I know for a fact that thousands of you, good and patriotic Americans, have called, emailed, and sent your petition to the court in the form of a letter asking.
Okay, now the mail service is involved, and you might think as a supporter, you're doing something wonderful by voicing your support for him. But let's say they get 25,000 letters. That is going to be an immense burden on the court, opening it, reading it, scanning it, dealing with it. And then they may just think that you're harassing her because you don't like the decision. And suddenly...
Actually, that's a good point. There are probably a lot of people who think I'm putting that stuff up on his channel. That's a good point. Maybe I will get a knock on the door for that. Maybe I will. I mean, the only way they're going to be able to prove it is by doing some kind of, internet forensics, and they'll know that it didn't come from my IP address. Holy mackerel, the Angry Vet. Angry Vet, you are just freaking the bomb, man. Thank you. Thank you. Grab the memberships while you can. Angry Vet just gifted 50. Here's the deal memberships. What a guy. Thank you, man. But actually, BC, that's a good point. I can be so freaking naive. I can be so naive. I could definitely get a knock at my door for being the person who put that stuff up. Wow. Didn't think about that till now. Wow. Man, oh man. This is just such a can of worms right now.
These other statutes come to life. There's ways to deal with this without making yourself susceptible to additional criminal charges. Like, how about contempt of court?
And demanding that I am released from this dungeon. Thank you.
See, the reason that he can't do this is there's no law that provides for this. So now this sounds the opposite of him trying to uphold the law. This sounds like anarchy.
But we have not done enough. We, you and me, have a First Amendment right to petition our government.
Yes.
And its officials when they have lost their virtue and broken their principles.
Yeah, that's actually true. There is a procedure for that, for example, and also recall people. You can also vote them out of office. In California here, we voted out 3 Supreme Court justices because they would never uphold the death penalty. Under any circumstances, they found reasons not to. The people spoke. That is petitioning.
Brian, thank you for gifting 1 membership, and somebody else did too. Leon Welch. I'll tell you what, I'll read all those at the end because I don't want to break this stride. But now I'm really thinking about, now I'm in the state of, I expect a knock at my door for this, because the egos of judges and law enforcement agents and badge tyrants of the state are so fragile and they feel like they have to do all that they can to protect their racket. And it is a racket. Come on, it's a money-making boon. I definitely right now, more than ever, expect it. I always expect it in the back of my mind, but now it's on the forefront of my mind. So, BC, thank you. You humbled me, because you made me think of something I probably would have just been like, man, I just tiptoe through the tulips. Brian's got no clue about what's about to happen to him. Now I've got an inkling of a clue. God.
This is not petitioning.
We have not petitioned them enough. It is our only recourse to redress the clear and biased judge who's gone out.
The only, notice the word only, that means there's no other ways to do this. That's flat out wrong. He's wrong.
Out of her reason and purpose to jail a nonviolent journalist. Zimmerman has behaved like a monarch or a queen in a despotic government.
Not true. She's actually carrying out the will of the people of the state of Nevada as set forth by the legislature.
Which people? 100% of the people? 90% of the people? 50%? 10? 5%? This we the people Patrick, come on, let's just be real. This we the people concept, this consent of the governed concept is wholly fictitious. Sounds good, but when does any group of people, even a group that is prone to believe kind of the same things, they're not ever in 100% agreement on everything. So when you have this, she enacted the will of the people of Nevada. How many people in Nevada even know about this case? Who signed this social contract that I'm completely against? John Locke, Montesquieu, and all them, they were fabulous writers. They were quintessential philosophical thinkers. But I'm not on board with the social contract. I never signed a social contract. As far as I know, a contract takes at least two people being in agreement on all the terms of the contract. And if there's a term that somebody doesn't agree with, they don't sign the contract. Are you going to tell me you believe in and will abide by and support all the terms of the social contract, every one of them? I guarantee you don't even know 50, 67. I'm not just talking about Patrick here, but I'm talking about everybody. We have, not only do we not understand or have even close to a full grasp of everything within this supposed contract, which is all just, etherical fiction, enigmatic, ungraspable lies, but you have a whole bunch of people who think differently on a whole host of topics that will never agree on any of this. Not to mention, there's a ton of stuff that you don't even know what's in it. But for example, do you know how many laws, how many federal, state, and local laws you're breaking right now as you sit there at your computer watching this live stream? No, you have no idea, but you're breaking them because there's thousands. There's tens of thousands of codified rules and ordinances and laws. And there are citations that can be given. There's case law. And then there's interpretation on top of that. You have no idea how thick we are in the weeds of tyranny. You got no idea. So this we the people concept, the state of Nevada versus Jose de Castro. You got the power of all the people of the state of Nevada. Really, says who? What fiction is that? Is that a story that lays alongside of the Easter Bunny and the fairy godmother? It's so, if you really think about consent of the governed and you realize the governed means the controlled, and the controlled implies that there's a controller or controllers, then the people being controlled cannot give their consent. And even if they did, the controllers don't care. And when they act like they do and they give, $12 million or $6 million settlement to this person and all that, I view government like a casino. The house always wins. But under the umbrella of the house always wins, they let Mary win. They let Susie win. They let Joey win because they want to give people the idea that, hey, it's a fair system. And it works. And it's worked for a long, long time. So they'll give certain wins over here. And they'll give, like that guy that won that $20 million settlement when they broke his neck and paralyzed him from the neck down over there in California. Remember that? Or like when they gave Daniel Shaver, or they gave Karen Garner the $3.1 million in Loveland, Colorado. They'll give out some, but then they'll take the rest. Oh, we got qualified immunity over here. Oh, we're going to be covered for that. We're going to increase property taxes over here so we can pay for that. They'll give you some wins. Just like any good casino will give you some wins. If you drove by a casino and the rumor went out is nobody ever wins there. See, it's hope and greed and fear is what they want to infuse into you. And they want to keep you having hope. And they want you to keep operating under that auspice of greed. And they want you to operate on the plane of fear. It's got to all be there. Those are all the ingredients that make casinos work. Because if that person sitting in that chair ever thought for a second, I will never beat this machine, then they will stop putting money in that machine. If they go to that blackjack table and they go, they never issue, nobody wins $5 at a blackjack machine. If they take away, if they jerk the carpet of hope out from underneath your feet, you're never going to sit at that blackjack table. You're never going to sit at that craps table. You're never going to sit at that machine. They got to keep the balance of hope and fear. That's what the powers that shouldn't be do. That's what psychopathic manipulators are all about. Read the book Propaganda by Edward Bernays. He lays it all out. He was called the father of propaganda. He was hired by the United States government, and he was hired by the tobacco companies to get women hooked on cigarettes. And you know how he did it? By giving them hope. Hope that they could be one day seen as equal to men. Lighting torches of freedom, he called it. Look at me. I'm fighting up in smoking this and lighting this torch of freedom. I am announcing my resistance to man's inhumanity to women. I am equal to man. And they bought the propaganda and they bought the cigarettes, and Edward Bernays enriched the tobacco manufacturers, and a whole bunch of women got cancer because they stood up for their right. I got a right, man. I got hope. I got strength. You want to see how strong I am? Watch this. 20 years later, they're dying from emphysema. It's all because of Edward Bernays. He sold them on a lie, and it sounded good, and it sounded empowering. It sounded like it was going to enrich them and set them on the path of destiny, man. Same thing with the casino. They want you to feel powerful. They want you to feel like you can walk in with $1,000 and walk out with $10,000. They want you to feel it. They want it to be visceral. It's like in you, man. Why else would somebody smoke a freaking cigarette? Why else would somebody blow $100 on a stupid slot machine? Hope and fear, fear and hope. It's a recipe that works, and they don't have any desire or initiative or reason to change it. So this idea of state of Nevada, we, the people of Nevada have imbued you, Miss Zimmerman, with power from on high. You have the backing of 100% of the people of Nevada. Lie. Blatant, objective, provable lie. And only a fool would believe it. Or somebody just so ignorant that doesn't know how to question it. Like a child. Tell them a bedtime. Let a parent tell a child a bedtime story, and they will believe every word because that parent is God in their life. Well, if you've got a God in your life, and it's called the judicial system, and it's got judges, and it's got lawyers, and it's got prosecutors, and it's got jailers, and it's got corrections staff, and there's a president of the United States who's the CEO of the Title 28, Section 300215A federal corporation, and he's got a vice president, and there are governors, and you believe all that nonsense, then that's the level under which you will operate. That's the ideology that you will have. That's the springboard from which you will bounce into life and give everybody else that polluted message because you learned it from the 15,000 hour indoctrination program called the public fool system.
legislature. Change to this by changing the laws, then the judges have to uphold the law as changed, because the trial court has to follow existing law. You get a chance at the appellate court, they can interpret it, but it's not Judge Zimmerman. She doesn't do that.
Like a rogue judge in an aristocratic government. We have a republic government that is supposed to be navigated by...
Actually, you said that wrong. I hear people say this is a democracy. No, it is not. It's a constitutional republic. Learn the difference.
I do not understand why he offered that criticism to Chile, who said the right thing. He said it's a republic. Listen to this. Patrick, can you explain this to me? Did you just make a mistake? I don't understand this. Listen.
That is supposed to be navigated by...
Listen.
It's not Judge Zimmerman. She doesn't...
Public government. Like a rogue judge in an aristocratic government. We have a republic government that is supposed to be navigated by... Actually,
you said that wrong. I hear people say this is a democracy. No, it is not. It's a constitutional...
Chile said it's a republic government. It's a constitutional representative republic. Now show me in real time, in real space, not on some virtual reality tour, but show me how a constitutional representative republic differs from democracy, which Benjamin Franklin said was two wolves and a lamb deciding on what to have for dinner. It's basically both of them boil down to majority rules. Might makes right. If we overpower you, if we outnumber you, we've got the power. If they outnumber us, they've got the power. The only problem is they're playing for the same team owners and nobody knows it. That's why everybody's not ashamed to say, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and they have no idea what the frick they're talking about. Republicans and Democrats, Demoplicans and Republicrats, call them whatever you want to. They're on the same team, playing for the same team owners, and those team owners own the banks that owns the value of the product of your time and laboring energies called the Federal Reserve Note. And until we change that and put the axe to the root of that tree, nothing's going to change, because that cheap, easy credit money keeps on flowing, baby. Follow the money.
Republic. Learn the difference.
By objective law, not by personal bias, by a judge who was the wife of a cog. Instead of acting as a custodian of justice, she has behaved like an obvious tyrant. Petition.
Okay, now we're getting into contempt of court, and this is bad. You get more time.
Now, I would agree with him from the perspective of the court. The court would definitely view this as contempt of court. And if they view it as contempt of court and they hold all the marbles and all the chess pieces in the game, then they can pretty much navigate your life at will. No justification required, because you've actually given them all the justification they need to put you away. And they'll get the sympathy of the masses, because most people are still blinded by the injustice system as being somehow legitimate.
Petition her and demand that she release me from this dungeon immediately, swiftly, and please petition the court in the tens of thousands, because it is the only recourse that we, the people, have. Judge Zimmerman.
Bad move.
In the tens of thousands.
Bad move.
There's a right way of doing things and a wrong way. This is the wrong way. You're crossing into contempt, harassment, and possibly criminal charges. And another word for the followers, it's called aiding and abetting. That person was just as liable. It doesn't sound like an innocent thing here that he's asking. He's asking all of you almost as a mob to just descend on the courthouse.
The only way you will be able to restore the word honor to your name is by releasing me now.
That is, in my book, contempt of court. It has nothing to do with her honor. Like I said, she's already lost jurisdiction to hear this case. It's already in front of Judge Levitt now.
You've lost integrity. I do not believe.
Lost integrity, that gets into contempt. You could say things like the court got it wrong, but you can't say they've lost their integrity.
You have the right to search me illegally. I believe that you...
No, that just shows a fundamental...
You violated my constitutional rights, as did the bailiff under your directives when he...
Oh, so anyway, when you walk into a courtroom, there's signs up in front of the building that say you consent to search. You've consented to search. And then when you're in a courtroom, the judge has all kinds of power to implement order, control, and safety and security. And she knew that you've admitted to recording during,
I got to stop right there. And I agree with Patrick Darcy on this. When you walk into a federal building or a state building and you submit to their rules and you disarm yourself in violation of the Second Amendment, and yes, you're doing it under duress, but that is a Second Amendment free zone, and you've submitted to that. You're walking in there. They set the court date and you got to walk in there and you got to give away 100% of your natural, unalienable rights. Darcy has a point here. That's how vile the system is. They don't care about rights. They're there to say they're going to uphold the rights, but the judge in the courtroom doesn't allow 100% transparency and let anybody record that they want. Why is that? Because they don't care about your rights. They don't want transparency. They want to hide in the darkness. Actions speak way louder than words. So I agree with Darcy on this. You have given up. You have abdicated your unalienable rights. Yeah, it may have been under duress or whatever, but you've still given them up. You've become here's my understanding. When you hire legal counsel who's a member of the bar, you have given up your rights and you've become a ward of the court. Wards of the court, from what I understand, and I'm not a legal expert, I'm not a lawyer, and this isn't financial or legal advice, but from what I understand, wards of the court have no rights. So mistake number one is you walked into their house. Welcome to my house. That's their house, not your house. Yeah, they extorted money from you and other people to build that house, but they're claiming the right and the ownership over that house, and everybody in that house has to submit to their rules, and you said you would. This is how convoluted and dark, I mean black hole dark, this whole situation is. It's suffocating to think about.
Court sessions. And she had that rule for everyone. Surrender your phones to the marshal and you can watch. Otherwise, you got to go. That's not an illegal search and seizure at all. Show me the case law on that one. You can't.
Perhaps it's because you, Judge Zimmerman, needs impulse training classes.
Okay, we're getting back into contempt again.
This is not an apology. I said I'm sorry for hurling.
If he means we're getting back into contempt from the perspective of the court and from the injustice system, I agree. From their perspective, what Chili just said is contemptible, and they cannot bear it. They cannot stand or tolerate it. Because if people continue to show that kind of contempt, if Chili shows that kind of contempt and we let him go without punishing him, then that opens the floodgates for everybody to do the same thing without punishment. Can't let that happen. That's why they can't let jaywalking tickets slide. That's why they can't cease from punishing you every step of the way for violating traffic ordinances.
Slurs in court and calling the bailiff a pig, even if he was behaving like one. The courtroom is supposed to be a place where the insults cease.
Where the insults cease, and calling a cop a pig, that's not an insult? It looks to me like he's reading something. In other words, he's had time to think about it, which is even worse.
Petition her and petition this court. Send in your petition via U.S. Postal Service.
Bringing in the U.S. mail is usually a bad idea. By the way, the U.S. mail has the first and original law enforcement agency, the U.S. Postal.
He said, you better be sure it isn't a crime using the U.S. mail to send in this BS. I think it is a felony. Now, if that's true, if it is truly a felony to respond to this kind of thing, then wouldn't it also be a felony for people to air their grievances on a public Facebook page? I mean, am I thinking is this something entirely different here? Or is this different because you're using the U.S. mail to send it? Is that the difference? Says they are federal policy and they take this stuff seriously.
Inspection Service. And they are really good at convicting people who mess with the U.S. laws regarding the mail. The Postal Inspection Service, Benjamin Franklin made them the very first federal police force to protect the mail. You bring this in, if it contains a threat, if it's adjudicated to be a threat, if it's deemed to be harassment, who knows? You might be facing separate federal charges again for something else.
Do not be rude, crass, or threatening. Hold on to your virtue and your self-respect that Judge Zimmerman lost when she put a nonviolent journalist, a champion of our civil liberties, in jail. I do not wish Judge Zimmerman fear or harm. No.
I do not wish it. Okay, so here's the, oh, hey, don't blame me. You know, I only shot my gun into a train that was going by. I didn't mean to kill anybody. Didn't mean to hit anybody, but hey, you know, if it happens, it wasn't my fault. You're igniting the match, Chili. And from what I've been told, lots of mail have already hit the courthouse and call flooding is going down. This is not legitimate activity. This is pure born harassment. And there's going to be a lot of people who think that maybe they're anonymous behind their keyboard and think it's funny. You wouldn't believe how simple it is to unmask people. I've unmasked many and dragged them kicking and screaming into a courtroom.
No, I do not. I want her to live every breath of her life where she sees the public has turned against her.
Oh, so that's not trying to instill fear into somebody?
Guys, I got to tell you, when I first heard that, let me show you what I thought of when I heard him say that. This is what I thought of. Immediately popped into my mind, Maxine Waters. You remember when Maxine Waters said this?
If we can't protect the children, we can't protect anybody. If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
That's what I thought about as soon as I heard Chili say that. Let me play back what Chili said.
Ask committee and drag them
Every breath of...
into
Here
a
we go.
courtroom.
No, I do not. I want her to live every breath of her life where she sees the public has turned against her.
I want her to live every breath of her life, Chili says, where she sees the public has turned against her. Can you imagine what the people who occupy the injustice system think about that? Can you imagine what the investigators think about that? See, something that people fail to realize when they're like, yeah, we're going to send 100,000 letters to Judge Zimmerman. On the other side of it, there might be 250,000 letters coming or 500,000 letters coming to the people who love Ann Zimmerman. Here's a $10 gift certificate to Target. I bet Zimmerman gets positive letters because of what she did to Chili every single day. And some of those letters probably include money. Hey, if you're ever in our town, I own a restaurant, your meal for your entire family is on us. For every one person who is against the injustice system, there's way more for the injustice system. Because that's how people are wired. They're wired to be submissive. They're wired to be compliant. They're wired to be partial to. They're wired to have cognitive dissonance and suffer from great measures, great quantities of Stockholm syndrome, mental Stockholm syndrome in their mind. If you forget how wicked people can be and how terrified they are and how easy to manipulate by the powers that shouldn't be just because they perceive them to be authority, then please do yourself a favor after this video is over and go refresh your memory on the conclusion of the Stanley Milgram authority experiment. And then look at the Arthur Ashe conformity experiment. It's easy to manipulate the masses. It's easy to get the masses to conform to a certain ideology. Don't think that 100,000 letters is going to cancel out 500,000 potential letters. And, you know, of course, I'm using hyperbole here. But you got to admit, when this whole planned, organized, partial shutdown of the U.S. economy happened in early 2020, I was astonished in my small Oklahoma town. You know, I thought in the back of my mind, I was like, I know I still have a semblance of hope in humanity. Ain't no way these farmers, these 70, 80, 90-year-old men are going to comply with the big pharma industrial complex and start wearing a ritualistic shame muzzle. Ain't going to happen. A couple weeks later, sprinkling some propaganda through fake stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra Media, and boom, voila. Upwards of 98% of the people, when you go to the grocery store, are all muzzled up and down and gloves and scared and, oh my God, I'm going to get this. Yeah, that's the Ash conformity experiment. That's the Stanley Milgram authority experiment in action before your very eyes. For every 1% that was against it, there were 99% that were just falling hook, line, and sinker for it. It's still a real head shaker, man.
Oh, so that's not trying to instill fear into somebody. That's not threatening somebody. That's not affecting their mental health and safety. I'm saying right now that to me is a clear threat. You just signed your name to it.
And if it's a clear threat to Patrick Darcy, attorney at law, then I bet it's clear to that person and to Zimmerman and to the court system and everybody here. Don't think it's not. Perception is everything. Hey, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, guys. Let's try to get up to 800 likes. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It'd be cool if we got 1,000 likes before the end of the live stream. We got about 10 minutes left here.
Witness the side-eye sneer in every grocery store clerk.
Oh, let's play this back over. This is important.
I want her to witness the side-eye sneer in every grocery store clerk. In every
Yeah, that's that to me is not only contempt of court, that's stalking now.
market. In every
It's not my decision. I'm just offering my opinion, which has been right about just about everything involving Chili DeCastro.
chance encounter, whether it be the dog groomer or the car wash. She will be the face of injustice, the living embodiment of tyranny. Judge Zimmerman at sentencing said to me that I hate cops. I thought it was my right to hate cops if I want to.
It is your right to hate cops. It's the way you go about it that's the problem.
If this is true or not, she said it and then jailed you, the cop.
I love the music in the background. That's supposed to move me. It does. It's more like a bowel movement. You can make that argument, but I would just say that she had a law in front of her, two of them, that allowed her to jail you, and then you broke the law, got busted for it, and she gave you the mid-range sentences, so she could have given you double the time.
Judge Zimmerman, how many hours of my videos did you watch before you met me in court?
I would say she definitely watched your videos because of what she said.
You know, when he said that Zimmerman gave him half the time that she could have under that statute, let's listen. Oh, by the way, this dog that's on it reminds me of Gabby, my dog that I used to have. This is Wally. And I guess Wally, this is sad, passed away on May 15th, 2023. Struggled with a long bout of cancer, reportedly. But that's why this dog is up on the screen. Just want to let you know it's kind of sad.
And she gave you the mid-range sentences, so she could have given you double the time.
Judge Zimmerman.
Yeah, and Zimmerman, I guess, under that statute, could have given him 365 days instead of 180 days. But I think one of the reasons they do that is so that they can secure for themselves, the judge that is, can secure for herself this perception, this public perception that, hey, see, she's a good person. She even gave Chili, who we all hate, the masses say, who we all want to see just erased from the face of the earth. Even Judge Zimmerman gave Chili DeCastro a break. Look how righteous and noble and upright she is. Somehow I think they do that only so they can curry the favor of the masses.
How many hours of my videos did you watch before you met me in court?
I would say she definitely watched your videos because of what she said when she sentenced you and what she said before court started. But then again, you put those videos out for people to watch. I warned people when I talked about the federal cyber stalking statute that one thing that prosecutors are going to do is they're going to look at your videos to show pattern and knowledge and conduct and everything else. And that's kind of what she said when she says about your behavior. That's pattern, okay? I warned about all of this. But
My appeal bond hearing, Judge Zimmerman said that my attitude has not changed.
I think she's right.
I say now petition her, petition the court, release me now. 100,000 petitions. Send in your patriotic, respectful, detailed petition to Judge Ann Zimmerman. On the fold where you seal the envelope, write the words, release DeCastro in the name of justice. 100,000 petitions is our goal. Judge Zimmerman, the only way to restore any honor to your name is to release me now with time served. It's a fact that I will sue you. If you do not have me killed in here, then when...
Okay, so we're going off the deep end again. You
Oh,
can
wait, I didn't read what he had on the screen there. 100,000 petitions on the fold, but not on the trifold. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Have me killed in here, then when
Okay, so we're going off the deep end again. You can sue her all you want. Just you can sue the prosecutors that you threaten. They all have full immunity while they're working in their job. So that will be probably anti-slapped.
I leave this jail, I will in fact sue you. I do not deserve to be here. However, I will not do anything illegal, and I'm not asking
Yeah, you just said that, but that's, in my opinion, not what you're doing.
you in any way, shape, or form to step out of bounds, fringe, and lawless. Be beyond reproach in your petition. Write nicely and print it out. Explain clear this cop-loving judge bias and her indefensible sentencing. We'll post both in the Las Vegas Review and the Sun when all the data scraping is complete.
Great. Now you've guaranteed to make this a public issue, which means that anybody you sue, because you claim defamed them, will be able to anti-slap your ass immediately.
She broke her principles and she lost her virtue. Write it out, write it nicely, write it clear, write it clean. Just write it, put it in the mail, and send it.
So he wants you to write the words "it." So just put the word "it." He said, "Write it. Write it."
I say to you this. I've been quiet, respectful, and shown deference.
I don't really believe it.
Wait, where did I miss that? Brick Jonesy says that Darcy is a defaming clown. He really should know better. He attacked the business. What was the defamation? Just so I'm clear. What are you guys viewing as him defaming Chili? What was the defamation?
Any of that.
Upon leaving this jail, should I live through this, I will file a petition against the Clark County Detention Center for clearly cheating me and violating my civil rights. Nowhere in the Clark County Detention Center handbook does it read the words, no live streaming. Once again,
Well, if there isn't a rule against it now, you've just proven why there needs to be one. I agree completely that our civil liberties and our rights are completely under attack all the time now, and we must be vigilant. But I don't do it this way. Yeah, I agree. This isn't violence. No one said it is, but that doesn't change.
Oh, wait a second. What did he just say about that?
Under attack all the time now. I agree completely that our civil liberties and our rights are completely under attack all the time now.
Our civil liberties and our rights are always under attack now. Okay, Patrick Darcy, I would like you to give an example of what you mean by our civil liberties and our rights are under attack. From your perspective, what does that look like? That is a heavy duty statement. What does that attack look like? Because if our civil rights and our constitutional rights and our civil rights are under attack, then that must mean that somebody's violating their oath of office. Somebody's violating the Constitution. Somebody's violating individual rights. So what does that mean to you? I would want you to define that and give examples.
We must be vigilant, but I don't do it this way. Yeah, I agree. This isn't violence. No one said it is, but that doesn't change the fact that it looks to me to be outright harassment.
to my loyal people and supporters, you should hear from me always within 48 hours. Always. Please, unless you do not hear from me.
I don't get this right here. Let the jailers be is Chili's quote. And then Darcy says, if you don't hear from me, oh, that's from Chili too. That's a threat of more harassment. So saying let the jailers be, and if you don't hear from me in 24 or 48 hours, that's a threat of more harassment. That went over my head.
Let the jailers be. Outside of the
Let the jailers be. Doesn't that sound like more harassment to them?
unlawful searched me and demoralized me by
Saying let them be is the opposite of harassment. So I'm not sure where what he's talking about in there.
looking at my backside. Outside of that, each individual guard has treated me fairly and within their policies.
Then why are you suing them?
I would like to thank them for doing that. I'd like my people to focus on petitioning the court for my release. We have another judge, Judge Michelle Levitt, who will be hearing my case on July 10th. The judges must be treated with respect and deference. The judges must be petitioned and told that this is wrong. I should be released immediately with time served.
I would just say that she had a law
I think that's it.
down there.
So if it's true that there's two things here. If it's true that anybody who followed Chile's directive by sending a letter through the U.S. mail to Ann Zimmerman in the way that Chile wants them to, if it's true that they could be viewed as aiding and abetting and committing a felony, that's concerning if it's true. And I could see how the people in the injustice system could actually view it that way. And if it's true that what Chile has done over the, the using the public phone line in the Clark County Detention Center, if that's, and it goes out on the internet, if that's considered as a class 3 felony and he could get an additional 1 to 3 years in federal prison, that's also concerning. Because the bottom of this is it doesn't matter what you think about Chile. What matters is that an innocent dude who didn't victimize anybody, who didn't lay a hand on anybody, who didn't threaten anybody, who didn't steal or damage property, is in jail. He's an innocent dude. 779 likes. I'm going to go ahead and read the super chats right now. We're going to close this out. You guys let me know what you think. I am absolutely willing to talk to anybody about this. If you are willing to be rational and you're not just some troll who doesn't give a damn and you just want to make a bunch of money on the internet saying something contrary to Chile because you hate him. I don't care if you hate Chile or you love him. If you got a different way to look at this, that's the right way, while we uphold rights, not privileges, but rights, and we come against those things that are wrong and those systems that are aligned against us, then I'm willing to have a conversation. 1,100 people watching, 799 likes. Maybe we can get up to 900 likes before we end this. I'm going to go ahead and give some shout outs to the people who've been contributing here in the chat. Just going back to Ralph Riley drops a super chat and says, Executive Order 13818, crimes against humanity and human trafficking. You know, the thing that concerns me about all this stuff is that we have federal codes that, line up with individual rights. 18 USC 241. 18 USE 241. Let's just look at it and let's go ahead and look at 18 USC 242. The language is powerful. And I agree with it. USC 242. Let's look at 241 first. See, we already have these laws in place, which means they're being ignored. They're not being applied to the people who they should be being applied to every single day on a consistent basis. 18 USC 241, conspiracy against rights. If 2 or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution, basically he's subject to fine, imprisonment, or maybe, and this is the words of 18 USC 241, not my words, may be sentenced to death. People are constantly calling us conspiracy theorists. Well, guess what? There's such a thing as conspiracy. All it takes is 2 or more people gathered together to formulate a plan to injure someone in some way. That's all a conspiracy is. And we have 18 USC 242, which is deprivation of rights under color of law, which says whoever, which includes judges and lawyers and prosecutors and highwaymen known as police officers. I'm going to start calling what I heard. I saw somebody wrote under my comment section. This didn't come from me. It came from whoever wrote that. I'm going to start calling them fleece officers. FLEECE. Fleece officers. I could see like a little 2-year-old who's trying to learn how to talk, him believing that's what parents are saying or adults are saying when they say police officers. Oh, yeah, I don't trust police officers either. The fleece officers, whoever, including fleece officers, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, on and on, to the deprivation of any rights, including the right to keep and bear arms, which shall not be infringed. Yep. Including the right to be secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects in accordance with the Fourth Amendment. Yep. In accordance with RAPS, RAPPS, religion, assembly, petition, press, speech. Anybody who would try to formulate or abridge any one of those rights, you mean go against those people too? Yep. And then it says, shall be fined under this title or in prison for any term of years or both, or may be sentenced to death. That's how serious it is. So I say that to point out the fact that we have laws in place that condemn the actions of a judge who throws a guy in prison who's not committed a crime. We already have that. There's your rule of law. It ain't working. They don't care because they are the rulers and they make the laws and you comply and they don't. Rules for thee, not for me, is what some people call it. Might makes right is what other people call it. Ralph also sends another super chat and says, correct your status, people. Stop being U.S. slaves. Kikastra gifts a 1 Here's the Deal membership to people in the room. Thank you. TubeSock7 says Chili is a modern day William Wallace, a hero. Jayhawk sends a super chat with the message of, what is it? Chili needs to shut the F up, shut the front door till he gets out. I agree. Does anybody disagree with that? He needs to shut the front door. He needs to do what he has taught others to do. Invoke your Fifth Amendment right and then stick to it. And if you forget to do it, keep on doing it. If the door somehow swings ajar, slam that baby shut again and shut the frick up. Remember Pop Brothers at Law? Oh, did you forget? Shut the frick up. Of course, they use another word. CL88 drops a super chat and says most misdemeanors, no right to a jury trial. TubeSock7 says, I got into it with FT, the FT guy. I'm not going to name his name. You know why I don't want to name his name? I don't want to give him any press. And, people are like, Brian, you're a hypocrite because then okay. Maybe I am. It's like sometimes the trolls get to you. I'm not going to say his name right here, but the trolls, I haven't seen one of them that looks like they're on a path to trying to understand the truth and modify their life and make this world a better place. I haven't seen it. While they accuse people on our side, if you want to, I hate this us and them thing, but I guess it exists to some extent. But they say people on our side are just grifters. They're con men. They're frauditors. It's a weird world, man. Give peace a chance, right? Hate who you want to, but you got to admit, Chili's an innocent dude. Didn't harm anybody. Got into it with the FT guy, says TubeSock7. Said Chili deserves to be held captive in a dungeon. I said it was illegal to jail a journalist. He said it's legal. Yeah, this is the same guy who wants me on a terror watch list. He wants me and my family on a terror watch list. A guy who doesn't even want the FT guy to be doxxed or be visited by the men in black. CL88 also drops a super chat saying, in Nevada, misdemeanor, no jury trial right. True News Now says creditors and their bond, which is this book that I downloaded earlier today, which is this right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll try to take some time to read that sometime tonight or tomorrow. There's 94 pages on this. It starts out, let me turn the page. Turn the page. Here I am. Every effect has a cause. Every cause starts with a thought. Remedy starts by changing your thinking. Couldn't agree more. Every action generates a force of energy that returns to us in like kind. What we sow is what we reap. And when we choose actions that bring happiness and success to others, the fruit of our karma is happiness and success. Yeah, why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? Let's see, what do we got going on here? And we're almost at 90. Who's going to be the 900th like? There's 894 on my screen. Who's going to be the 900th like? All right, so that's true news. Leon Welch gifts a one Here's the Deal membership. Thank you, Leon. Brian Clowder gifts a one Here's the Deal membership. Thank you, Brian. Scorpion Prince drops a super chat and says, will you do a live stream with DirectD? I don't think DirectD likes me. There was, I don't know. I met them all up in, was it Arizona? Where was it? Was it Arizona or New Mexico? I don't know. I met him in one of those states. And I don't know. For some reason, he doesn't like me. I don't know what the deal is. I'd be glad to, if there's a olive branch to be extended, I would definitely extend an olive branch to whoever. I don't care. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'd rather repair bridges than be busy breaking them down. It's so easy to burn a bridge. It's so easy. Have you ever been a part of a demolition crew where you're tearing a house down? You can get that thing down with the right guys, hammering at the right places in that place. You can bring it down so quickly. But to build a house, you got to lay the foundation. You got to wait till the concrete cures. You got to get the right contractors to, put everything in the right place and frame that building up and then put the roof on and then the walls and then the drywall, the electricity, the plumbing before that. It takes so much time and effort and energy to create and build a house, which is way worth it. And it takes almost no energy and almost no time to build it down. Any fool can destroy a bridge, guys. Any fool. I'm not calling anybody a fool here. I'm just saying any haphazard individual with a low IQ can break anything down. But it takes effort and energy and knowledge and wanting to do the right thing to build something that's going to last. Holy cow, 1,000 likes. Who was the 800th like? Who was the 900th like? And who was the 1,000th like? That's what I want to know. So yeah, to answer your question, would I do a live stream with DirectD? Yes, I would. The question is, would DirectD do a live stream with me? And if he's got a beef, like DirectD, if you're there, if you got a beef with me and you got a problem with, a lot of people don't like me because I'm Chili's friend. I'm not going to abandon a friendship, but at the same time, I'm going to tell that friend what I think, and whether they take my counsel or not, they don't have to. I'm not the friend who just stands in the corner and I'm a yes man to your destruction. I'm not going to do that. So a lot of people don't like me because I back Chili, and I guess I have to be fine with that. It sucks. Hurts my feelings. It truly does. It does hurt my feelings. That does affect me negatively. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it bothers me that DirectD doesn't talk to me. And then people can call me, oh, you triggered a little snowflake. Why don't you stop being a beta male and be an alpha? Okay. Well, I'm just human. That's all I am. I got them feelings, man. Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. Trying to forget. Steve, what's up, man? We will get together, man. We will do that live stream. Who governs the governing? Who governs the governing? Good question on that super chat. Or that's member for 19 months. Holy cow, Steve. Thank you. CL88 became a new member. Welcome, CL88. CL88 drops a super chat. Chili didn't waive right to jury trial. You don't have that right with a misdemeanor in Nevada. Only felony gross misdemeanor. Oh, is that true? Really? So that means Patrick would be wrong. Unless Chili waived it and didn't know that he couldn't waive it because he didn't have it because it was a misdemeanor. So I don't know. Good way to look at it. Good thought. Snail says government made the laws vague on purpose in order to use them against who they choose. We have allowed this through voting in tyrants. It's our fault. Yeah, it's your fault if you voted, but if you didn't participate in the process, it's not your fault. It's kind of like George Carlin said. He's like, I know people get this backwards. If you didn't vote, it's our fault. No, but he says, no, the reality is if you voted, it is your fault, because you know what's going to happen. Let's take the president of the United States, who's basically the CEO of the Title 28, Section 3002, 15A federal corporation that's based out of Washington, D.C. So let's say you voted for the president. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. You know what's going to happen at the end of the 4 years. The national debt is going to be increased. That's your fault. You voted him in. The military industrial complex coffers will be enriched. I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican. That's what happens. That's your fault. The value of the dollar will diminish. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. They're playing for the same bankster team owners. That's your fault. But if you stayed home and like George Carlin said, I got a little to show for it. I got a little to show for it on that day on November 4th. So you can't blame the guy that didn't participate in the system and didn't vote for the psychopathic control freak. It's not his fault. So I would have to disagree with part of that, Snail. We have allowed this through voting in tyrants. It's our fault. Maybe on another live stream where I'm not taking up so much of people's time, I'll let you know about my experience in voting. The only time I ever voted and got it, when I got involved in the political process, I jumped in with both feet. The only person I have ever voted for in a presidential race was Ron Paul, and I was a delegate to the convention in Norman, Oklahoma, in my home state. I watched Ron Paul win, and I watched them dishonestly, single-handedly cut off our lights, close the curtains, turn off our electricity, force us out into the parking lot, and they gave it to Mitt Romney, who clearly lost. It was at that point I knew if a guy can win by a landslide like Ron Paul did in my state of Oklahoma, I saw it with my own two eyes. It used to be on the internet, but now they took it off. I had it all recorded. I had recorded how many supporters showed up for Ron Paul. They were wrapped around the building, and there were literally only two people in the Mitt Romney line. Nobody was excited for Mitt Romney, but the excitement for Ron Paul was through the frickin' roof in that Norman Convention Center. And when I saw what they did, and then Governor Mary Fallon at that time, the Oklahoma governor at that time, they all converged together and conspired against Ron Paul, just like mainstream media had done 4 years before and 4 years before that, and just ousted the guy for no freaking reason. When I saw that, I was like, it's all BS. It's all smoke and mirrors. That's all it is. So when you've peered behind the curtain and you know what you're talking about and you've seen it with your own eyes, you have a conviction based on fact. It's not a belief. It is a knowing. Nobody had to tell you. Nobody had to inform you. You didn't have to read an article or get it through hearsay. You saw it yourself. You were a part of it. You were one of the delegates they forced out into the parking lot. It's all a dog and pony show. It's all under the big top. That's all it is. True News drops a super chat and says, Citizenship 1928, How Democracy Killed the War Department Training Manual. 2025. Good read. Thank you, True News. Scrapin' Bass drops a super chat, says 100% tyranny. All this because a man with a camera stood too close to the blue line. Think about it. Think about it. Exactly. No matter what you think about DeCastro, he's innocent. No victim left in his wake. Nobody's suffering right now because Chile beat him up or took their money. You know, that's another thing I hear about Chile, that he's defrauded people out of money. Bring them forward. Let's do a live stream and then bring the receipts. I don't want just testimonies. Oh yeah, I heard that Chile ripped this person off. No, show me the receipts. Now, he's done things that I don't agree with, like launching all these lawsuits against people and being just a cruddy. You know, it's not good. It's not good. I'm absolutely vehemently against that. It completely goes against my grain. And I tell him that. And I'm also not for this idea of rule of law. I'm not for John Locke. I'm not for Montesquieu. I'm not for, all these people who are supposed to have laid down our society, the social contract construct. This idea that there's such a thing as government or authority. I'm completely against that. The only thing that could convince me to be for it is to show me with evidence that it actually exists in the course of regular humanity, apart from propaganda from mainstream media and the military industrial complex and Washington's District of Criminals. Let's Overturn Terry v. Ohio has been a member for 2 months and says, Chili could be you and you and you. Exactly. Whether FT and all these trolls out there realize it or not, you are Chili DeCastro. You are him. And if you were ever thrown in prison for violating some stupid ordinance you didn't know anything about, for not harming anybody, for not victimizing anybody, you would want help from the outside. You are actually violating the golden rule by being so vehement against him. And don't get me wrong, I understand why people don't like him. I understand why people don't like that kind of personality. I have said many times to him directly, if you're a leader, you don't have to tell people you're a leader. If you're truly an alpha male, you don't have to tell your audience that, there's all these beta males out here and I'm the alpha male and I'm in control and I'm the leader and everybody's going to follow me and I'm going to lay down a new course. I'm going to plot a new course for adventure. I can see how that's extremely distasteful to a lot of people. And there may be some people in here that you feel like I'm betraying Chili. I'm not saying anything to you that I didn't say to him. My conscience is clear. I truly believe if you are a leader, you will just lead. And people will fall in line without you having to tell them to. And I am firmly convinced that a true leader doesn't want just an order follower behind him. He just wants somebody who's dedicated to the cause that he believes in his heart is right. And if at any point somebody who's following that true leader, that true alpha male, if you want to put it like that, objects to it, then that leader is never threatened when one of the people that's following him says, I think you're on the wrong course, man. I think we are heading down the wrong road. Because one of the hallmarks of a good leader is that he surrounds himself with good counselors and good advisors who can take a fresh look, a third-party look at something that he is probably incapable of looking at because no one man's got it all. That's why you never want to immerse yourself. Even if you're following somebody and it's a good thing. You're not following a ruler. You're following a leader because you buy into his ideology. Even then, you're not a conformist order follower doing what you're told regardless of what is right. Because number one, a ruler will never tell you to do something that is not right. And a follower will never just do it knowing that it isn't right. There are more followers in this world than leaders. That's just a fact. It's just a fact. And it's also a fact that there are suckers born every day and they embroil themselves in the cult of personality, and it's sick and disgusting to watch. And every one of us, including me, has been a part of that kind of scenario. You've been a member in some cult of personality somewhere on some level. And how we make this world a better place is you quit it. Stop that nonsense. Stop following Chili just because it's Chili. Stop withholding your criticism. You can criticize somebody in a constructive manner and it's all right and good. You can also do it in a vitriolic, poisonous way that doesn't really help anybody. Pride goes before destruction, guys, and a haughty spirit before a fall. And I don't know how many times I've quoted that to Chili himself. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. If you think for 1 second that you're better than you actually are, you are self-deluded. Because a true leader, a true alpha male would never, ever think more highly of himself than he ought. Never. Never. And if any point he succumbs to that, because we're all human, he will rapidly correct his course. I don't know if you've ever been sailing or if you've ever flown a plane, but if you're just 1 degree off of your heading, 1 degree, I can't remember what the math is, but in 60 minutes of flying or navigating on the oceans, in 60 minutes, I can't remember how many degrees you're actually off your course just traveling 1 degree. Because if your heading is this way and your degree of heading is this way, the further you get out following that 1 degree off course heading, the further you go out, the further you get away from where you're actually supposed to be. And I think that's why C.S. Lewis said the safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope. soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts. That's why you have to be in tune with who you are when you plot a course. And you have to make dang sure that the course you have plotted is the right one in accordance with doing the right thing for the most amount of people. And that's the exact opposite of the mentality of the people who operate Washington's District of Criminals and all the federal courts and all the state courts. They've become corrupted. They've become blinded. They've become greedy. They want to see people operate in fear and not question their reality and just accept that they have authority because they say they do. That's why I got a big problem with the overall tenor of what Patrick Darcy is saying in this video right here. Because I think, and this isn't a slight to him because we've all been there, but I think that he's operating from and speaking from a foundation that is embroiled and immersed in that darkness. How do you explain to a fish what water is when he's been in the water all of his life? It's been a part of him. He sucked it in with his gills and sucked it out, and he's extracted the oxygen from that. He has no understanding of that which he's immersed in. None. If what I'm saying resonates with you, put a 1 in the room. If it doesn't, put a 2, and I'm okay with the 2s. But I'm really okay with the 1s. Just kidding. Oh, let's see who we got here. We're working down the line here. That was Let's Overturn Terry v. Ohio. Chili could be you and you and you and you. Yeah, exactly. Chili is we are Chili. We are Kevin Strickland. We are Johnny Hurley. We are Johnny Wheatcroft. We are Kelly Thomas. We are Philando Castile. Thank you for the 1s in the room, guys. I appreciate it. Tax evasion says we need to actually unite. Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't want to get off into the weeds. I just got so many things going on in my mind. Tax evasion drops a super chat, says, we need to actually unite as a nation before they start another war and steal our rights for decades again. They've already been stolen, and yes, I agree. We need to unite. All this anti-government talk means a FF inbound. What does FF mean again? FF. I don't know what FF is. Guys, tell me what FF is. I'm relying on you, man. 1,118 likes. Thank you. See, videos like this, not because of me, not because I'm saying this. What does FF mean? What's up, power inherent in the people? Can I call you? I can't tonight. After I get done with this, I'm walking away from the computer. My brain. Oh, false flag. Tax. I just said the word that can get me banned. Thank you for that. FF means false wavy thing. But yeah, Cameron, we'll talk, but it's got to be tomorrow. What's up, Blind Justice? I didn't even see you here. Where can we email you info? Here's the deal. contact@highimpactflix.com. I'm going to go over more super chats, guys. I still got more shout outs to do, but people are asking me questions, and if I don't answer them now, I will forget. What if people... Because I'm that kind of lame brain. Let's see if it's on here. It is and should be under my videos. It's under, see here, support the channel. Here's my email contact. So if I don't, guys, I never promise anybody that I will get back with them. I never, ever promise that. I'm the world's worst at doing that. I've got a high influx of people who try to reach out to me, and it's not because I don't think I'm anything, guys. I'm just trying to do my part, but it's just, there's only so much I can do. I'm a one-man show. And, ain't nobody doing my videos and answering my calls and fielding my emails and responding to messages. So, yeah, I agree, tax evasion. Thank you. Cliff Williams, how you doing, man? Member for 3 months. Thank you. Who is responsible for enforcing U.S. 18242? Well, I would assume the people who swore to protect and defend the people of the United States, but that ain't happening. I don't know, man. And now we come to... The angry vet. The angry vet. This guy again. The Angry Vet has given how many memberships in this? How many? Is it 150? The Angry Vet has gifted 150 Here's the Deal memberships on this channel in this live stream alone. 150 Here's the Deal memberships. That is worthy of we got to do a dedicated video for, and I'm not saying I didn't ask him to do this. He didn't request me to do what I'm about to say, but I think maybe tomorrow we should do a live stream, or the day after if we can make some time for it, to do a video on maybe some of the most popular Angry Vet videos and expose you to his activism. So thank you, Angry Vet. I appreciate that, man. Much love, brother. Cliff Williams drops another super chat and says, we need to plea and maybe redress the DOJ 18 USC 242. Yes. I don't know. It's the Department of Injustice to me. It's kind of like, I don't remember what's the Wicked Witch of the West. Who's the main star in that? Is that Snow White or is that Cinderella or whatever? Wicked Witch of the West. Is that Dorothy? If it's Dorothy, it'd be like Dorothy petitioning or redressing her grievances to the Wicked Witch of the West. Do you think that toothless, wart-nosed monster cares that you pled for a redress of grievances? No. Does it work sometimes? Yes. Yeah, people get all these settlements and all that kind of stuff. I personally think those settlements come with strings attached. Member for 10 months is Brandon Mitchell. He says, thanks to the Angry Vet for gifting 150 frickin' memberships. Lazarus drops a $20 super chat. Holy cats. And says, I don't trust Chili, and I'm afraid I'm going to watch people I respect, Brian, go down by Chili. He is consistently making poor decisions, and they are seemingly a hair away from catching Brian. Much love, Brian. All I can say is, if it happens, I've got this thing by my side almost all the time. This is a 360. This is a Insta360 camera. Look at this. So I'll capture it in living color, and we'll upload it if we can. Upload it to the cloud. So if it happens to me, hopefully we'll have it recorded. You know, unless they put a bullet in my head first, which bullets are faster than clicking a camera on. So thanks, Lazarus. Yeah, I know. I get it. I'm there. It's a lot of things have happened that were unwise. But that also another thing is I put myself in my mid 1700 shoes, and I'm watching Samuel Adams and Patrick Henry and Thomas Paine, and they're all running around going, man, this sucks, man. Redcoats, they're ruining our lives. Bunch of freaking red coat, thin red line tyrants. Who do they think they are telling us we can't step onto our driveway? Who do they think they are instituting traffic stops? Saying officer safety basically trumps individual rights. And that's typically, bottom line is that's what the redcoats were doing back in the mid 1700s. And then, what am I going to be, a stick in the mud and go, Thomas Paine, Ben Franklin, Sam Adams. You guys, come on, get with the program. Let's just go along to get along. No, I'm not by any means saying that. But I do question my position. Don't you question your position? Almost every single day, it's like, don't you sit back in your chair and just go, all right, what am I believing here? What is going on? And then what I have to do is I have to reset. I don't know about you guys, but I have to reset my mind, and I have to go down to brass tacks basic. I mean, I take the paint off, get rid of the primer, and I go right down to the metal. And it's like, okay, what am I believing here? Is what I'm believing in accordance with individual rights? Is it possible that what I espouse is going to yield greater harm to a society that I want to see prosper? How can we do this better? What's the right thing to do? Not what's the popular thing, because usually what the right thing to do is not the popular thing. It's no measure of good mental health to be considered well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. It never has been. It never will be. Peepsock 4 says, Chile soon will be Nevada governor and he can fire all of them. That's a pipe dream. That's a pipe dream. If you are the governor of a state, you are in the inner sanctum. You are not going to become the governor unless the banksters behind the curtain want you to be the governor. That's the way it works. If you're not, even if you are in the big club, there's no guarantee you'll make it. But there's a guarantee you won't make it, an absolute 100% guarantee that you won't make it if you're not in the big club. The only way to be the governor of any state is to be in the big club. And let's say you're not in the big club and somehow by some cosmic miracle, you become the governor of whatever state you want to be the governor of. Do you think they're going to let you exercise any substantial power? No, they won't. Didn't they already off a president very, very easily? Didn't his security detail step down? Wasn't there a whole lot of controversy and intrigue that surrounded that? Didn't they hire Spectre to come out with a spectacle and sell the people on the official story back in the 1960s? Didn't that happen with a president of the United States, a CEO of the federal corporation? How much more a governor, man? Do you hear what just happened with Boeing? Another whistleblower mysteriously died. Huh. And if that's for Boeing, a corporation, what about for the biggest corporation, maybe on the planet, the United States Federal Corporation? Man, they're going to protect their interests, man. They are not going to let that apple cart spill over. They got a good thing going, and they don't have any desire to see that go away. So, no, he's not going to be the governor. Come on, let's be real. Let's be real. Lazarus says, I can sympathize with the man's plight while still refusing to assist him. Not everyone speaking against him is a troll. Dangerous alliance, Brian. No argument. No argument there. Eye of Providence drops the last super chat. This is the last one. $20 super chat says, Trump 2024. Vote for the guy who the establishment and the mainstream media hates. Thank you for your super chat. I strongly disagree. Why do I strongly disagree? Because Donald Trump, if Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, if you found out that any one of those three had all their debts paid by Rothschilds Inc., that's all you would need to know about Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and Joe Biden to not only not support them, but to call them out as the bankster puppets they actually would be if that was the case. You know who Wilbur Ross is? Let me just show you something. Even mainstream media knows this. Even fake stream media. Getting Donald out of debt. You know who this guy is right here that Donald Trump is pointing to? Wilbur Ross was an employee of a company called literally Rothschild Inc. We know about the Rothschilds. Amschel Rothschild said, give me control over the nation's money and I care not who makes its laws. He was the guy who headed up bailing Donald Trump out when he got underwater with that Taj Mahal in Atlantic City to the tune of like $600 billion. Some say that Donald Trump was bailed out to the tune of over $1 billion. Some say $2 billion. They want their pound of flesh. If they bailed you out, they bailed you out for a reason, and you are not on strings. You are not dangling from marionette strings. You are at that point dangling from aircraft cables, and you ain't going to get yourself free. So for somebody who calls themselves the father of the VAXX, and that's Donald Trump, he called himself the father of the VAXX, somebody who put $12 trillion, and these are off the books dollars, but even if it was 1 trillion, even if it was $500 million, $12 trillion in the pockets of the big pharma industrial complex called himself the father of the VAX, was bailed out by Rothschild's Inc. And you're going to tell me, and I'm not getting on to you, Eye of Providence, but you said Donald Trump 2024, vote for the guy who the establishment and the mainstream media hates. This lifelong Democrat, not that it matters if you're Republican or Democrat because they're both two wings of the same bird of prey circling around to tear you to pieces. A lifelong Democrat who, after saying during a national debate that if he was president, he would jail the Wicked Witch of the West, aka Hillary Clinton. And then right after he got inaugurated as president, during the inaugural ball, during the inaugural dinner, led the entire room into a standing ovation for the very woman he said he would imprison, say they're really great people. That man is not and cannot ever be on your side. And for anybody to believe that he is, I have to believe is suffering from serious cognitive dissonance. Nobody in the history of presidents has ever exponentially increased the national debt like Donald Trump. He increased the national debt. He was on track to put more money in the debt, on the national debt, than Barack Obama did in 8 years. Nobody. Eisenhower warned us against the dangers of the military-industrial complex. Nobody increased. The single biggest increase for the military-industrial complex came at the hand of Donald J. Trump. And when people hear me say that, like, I knew you were for Biden. Biden is in the same boat. They're in the same club. They probably go to the same brothels. And there's probably the same pictures from the same island owned by Jeffy. And they were doing bad things to people that haven't made it quite to adulthood yet. If we can say that on a live stream. That anybody would be duped by Donald Trump in the light of the clear fact that he was bailed out by Rothschild's Inc., that he called himself the father of the VAXX, that he put $12 trillion into the pockets of the big pharma industrial complex. That's just the appetizer, guys. Not even Bill Clinton, not even Barack Obama instituted red flag laws, but Donald Trump did. What he did was dangerous. I know what you're saying, Mike, but I like take the guns first, due process second. I like take the guns first, due process second. I mean, the guy had a lot of guns. If you're anti-Second Amendment, which Donald Trump is, which Barack Obama is, which Joe Biden is, you are an enemy of all that is right in the world. You're an enemy of women. You're an enemy of minorities who want that firearm to protect themselves. If you put one shred, one nanoparticle of infringement in the way of somebody freely grabbing a firearm that they want, any firearm without restriction, because there are no restrictions in the 27 words of the Second Amendment. No restrictions. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. You don't have that right because some dead guys, long since dead, wrote some fancy writing on beautiful parchment, and now it's preserved under the National Archives bulletproof glass in Washington's District of Criminals. You don't have a right because that is there. You have the right because you're a frickin' man of the land. You are a human being. You have blood coursing through your veins. And for anybody to presume to get in the way of that is your mortal enemy. Democrat, Republican, nice hair, spray tan, bumbling fool, articulate wordsmith. I don't care. I don't care. Look under the hood. Stop being deceived, Eye of Providence. Thanks for the super chat, but I vehemently disagree with you on the grounds of truth, not because of my own subjective opinion. Most evil dropped. I'm just so shocked that anybody still falls for the CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra media lie that politics is somehow legitimate. Most evil one drops a super chat and says, people worry about things they can't control. Rather, build strength of your character for when things go bad. Everything has already set in stone. Thanks, Most Evil. Leon Welch, membership for 1 month. Thank you. King Braveheart, thank you. Gifted 5 Here's the Deal memberships. I appreciate that. King Braveheart. Tennessee Outlaw drops a super chat and says, nobody will convince me Trump isn't part of the plan. Yeah, because every indication, every shred of evidence shows that he is absolutely part of the plan. He shut down the United States, guys, of America. He shut down our country. Wow. Not Paul Unslaved. Vote, tax, code, legal equals corporate slave dupes. Amen. Amen. Not Paul Unslaved. By the way, let's do a little, there's 1,000 people in here almost. Let's do a little experiment because this guy is heavily suppressed. This guy is heavily suppressed. You want to see algorithmic suppression? Oh, look at that. It brought up the actual, look at that, Paul. It brought up your actual website instead of your secondary website. Go to second YouTube. Let's see. Let's go to the second one too. Let's open up both. Oh, that's Odyssey. Where's the other one? He has another one. Let me go back. Let me see if I can find both of them here. I'm going to open that in a new tab. Not Paul Enslaved. He's got 2 of them. Where did it go? Last night, when I tried to search his real channel, his big channel, it wouldn't come up for me. And now it's coming up for me first thing. That's weird. 21,000. Because he's got another one that has like 6,000 or 7,000. I can't remember how many. Let me see. Is this it? Huh. No, that's not it. Here, let's do a little experiment though. I'm going to put you guys remember Paul Unslaved? He did just a fantastic job dealing with that authoritarian. He talked to him. He literally, psychologically, well, is it literally if it's psychological? Maybe. I don't know. It depends on what plane you're talking about. But he got the power tripping authoritarian to mentally step out of his uniform and become a man for a second. And guess what? On that plane, and I don't even call it Paul decimated him, man. He destroyed him, because I don't think we should be speaking like that. He met him where he was, and he downloaded the vital information that power tripping authoritarian needed at that time. And the guy became a man for a second. He became human, and he let Paul go. If you want to call it magic or whatever, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be cracking the code. We need to be cracking the code. And he did it masterfully. Maybe we should go over that again. But I've asked Paul Unslaved, and he graciously accepted it. I've asked him if he wouldn't mind doing a live stream sometime next week. Put a 1 in the room if you remember Paul Unslaved. And put -yes if you want to see Paul Unslaved on a live stream. Because I'm telling you, before you get in, you better mentally prepare. He's probably going to have some pretty harsh words for me. He's probably going to have some pretty harsh words for you. He's going to have some harsh words for himself. And they're probably words that we need to hear and grow from. Because he ain't going to play patty cake. Snail says, I never vote. It's hard to put what I meant in 150 characters. Oh, okay. Yeah. If I misjudged you, I'm sorry. Tashanta Spencer has been a member for 14 months. What about RFK Jr.? That guy is as anti-gun as you can get. And he's pro VAXX, by the way, even though he says a lot of things against the certain platform that starts with an M, has an R in the middle, and ends with an A. Yeah, you got to look at RFK. He is just as bought and paid for as they all are. RFK is up. He's part of an organized crime family, the Kennedys. And I can't stand it when people are like, oh, but what about JFK? He was out there. He's trying to fight against the Federal Reserve. No, he wasn't. There is no indication. Then you haven't looked at Executive Order 11110. Yeah, you haven't looked at it because there's nothing in there that says he wants to institute sound money under silver again. Besides the decoupling didn't happen until August 15th, 1971 under Nixon. So I don't know what people are talking about with that. I think they put heroes up in their minds And then no matter what, you can't assail the imagination that they've constructed over the years. Derek Morris says Donald Trump equals Reichstag fire decree, false waving thing. Yep. Yeah, false waving thing. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate you keeping it PC, man. Jamie Suzanne says the only way we end this deep-seated corruption is by FORCE of we the people. And you got to understand that the algorithms and the AIs that are behind them are getting smarter. Yes, it's true that Patrick Henry said, guard with jealous attention the public liberty. Suspect anyone who comes near that precious jewel. Nothing will preserve it but downright force. And when you give up that force, you're ruined. Ain't nobody here calling for VIOLENCE. Nobody. Did Paulie say anything back? Paulie. Yo, Paulie, cut me, Mick. Cut me. I need to be able to see. I don't see it. Okay, guys. Hey, that's 1,286 likes. I appreciate it. Oh, what I was saying was, geez, I'm so freaking scatterbrained. Here's Paul Unslaved's. Here, let's do a real quick. Let's see if we can get, there's 900 people in here, guys. If we can get 1/3 of us to go to Paul Unslaved's channel, that's what you see on the screen right here, and put him from 21.7 to 22,000 subscribers. I want to see if we can somehow beat the algorithm, because he is stuck in such a slump. They've demonetized his channel. They've shadow banned him. Looks like they've constructed algorithms to where when he does go live or he does put content up on it, it does the exact opposite of what it usually does. And it takes away subscribers and takes away viewership. Thank you, Angry Vet, for subbing him. And if you sub him, let me know in the comments section by putting a 1. And let's see if we can get him to 22,000 subscribers in the next 10 minutes. We can do it because there's 904 of us. And if 33% of us hit that like button, that subscribe button, which I already have, and hit the bell notification icon, you can see that there, we can get him over that hump. And just do a little algorithmic experiment here. Oh, the second one is... Oh, okay. All right. Let's look at that one too. Let's look at that one. Let's see if we can... There it is. There's his other one. Here, I'm going to give you the other channel too. I'm going to give the other channel too. This is... Proper instruction motivates people. That's PIMP. You can sound that out yourself. 5.45 thousand subscribers. Oh, shoot. Did they unsubscribe me or did I forget to subscribe? I forgot to subscribe. So I just subscribed. So 5.45 thousand subscribers. And there's 300 people in here. If we can get him 300 more subscribers, that'd be 5.75 thousand subscribers. There's the link right there. I just posted that. That's his secondary channel and his primary channel. And one of the reasons I'm directing you is because I believe Paul is passionate about what he does and says. And I think he understands what he's saying and doing. And I think that he is not a hypocrite in what he does and says. And we need people like that. Been sub for a while, says Dangerous Liberty, have all the notifications on. Are you getting the notifications? Because I'll tell you this, I'm not. When he uploads a video, I don't get informed. I don't get notified. Natural Born Scorpios. Hey, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time. Brian, you introduced me and countless others to Chili, Delete Lawz, and to Paul Enslaved. And guys, don't be offended when well, be what you want. Be offended, whatever it takes. Be offended when I do the interview with Paul Enslaved. Because basically, he will be unleashed through this channel. And if you're weak-minded and lighthearted and easily offended, then you above all people need to see it. I was going to say stay away, but no, you shouldn't stay away. Also, I want to give a shout out to I got a couple of Cash Apps today and all through last week that I forgot to mention, but I want to shout you out. Steve V, dude, thank you. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it. Steve VEI, and I'm not going to do the rest. Julia Nedland. Julia, thank you very much. You've been very active on my Cash App. Jeff W. Joe Y. Jorge A. Corey H. Pavel S. Thanks for the Bitcoin. Julia N, a bunch of Julia N's. Julia NEDL, and I'll just leave it at that. You know who you are. Thank you. Kenneth F, Jeremiah B, and Mistress K. Thank you for supporting on Cash App. All right, so let me do a quick refresh on the 21,000 subscriber channel. Look, 21.8 now. Okay, it's gone up. 21.8. And Paul will have to look in his analytics to get us the exact numbers because they're just giving me approximates right here. And 5.45. Now it's got 5.5. So we went up at least 50 on that one. Yeah, give Paul a shout out. Tell him here's the deal sent you. We're going to have a good conversation, a lively conversation. Note the coloration of that conversation. It's going to be an interesting one. Sometime next week, I'll let you guys know in my community tab when it's going to be. Guys, thank you so much for participating. Thanks for being here. Remember, freedom's got a price, and it is eternal vigilance. It's easy to fall asleep. It's easy to become apathetic. It's easy to become indifferent. And we got to constantly fight against that because you know what? We are slaves. We're wage slaves. We are, we don't have the rights that we think we have if we've got a roving band of domestic terrorists who can just break down our door and feel completely justified in doing that on American soil. So I appreciate you guys. Let's save America one soul at a time, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, make sure that if you're going to be found guilty of anything, be found guilty of being excellent. I will see you in the next video.